Thought I was doing myself some good, a daily pill like I was told I should. Then the numbness crept into my feet, couldn't keep my balance on the street. Is it MS? My symptoms are the same. The doctor said you have B6 toxicity and your vitamins are to blame.
In Australia, products containing 10 milligrams or more of vitamin B6 are required to carry a nerve damage warning. This podcast is for awareness only and does not replace medical advice. Please consult your GP or healthcare professional for personalized care. Vitamin B6 is not checked in standard blood tests.
Hello and welcome to the podcast no one wants to be on, the B6 Toxicity Diagnosis Stories podcast. I'm Melissa Page, remedial massage therapist, accidental author and now awareness advocate, and someone who never imagined an over-the-counter vitamin could do this much damage. This podcast is for awareness only. Please speak to your healthcare provider regarding your own symptoms and treatments. And let's welcome our guest today, Lacy. And where are you from? Hi.
I live in Kansas now. I am in Kansas, USA, right in the middle of the United States.
We all know where Kansas is because that's where Dorothy was from or got taken from.
Yep. Where the tornado came and wished her away.
Wow. So tell me a little bit about your life before B6 toxicity started, but you've mentioned that you think you've been B6 toxic for a long time.
Yeah. I feel like probably pregnancy. The vitamins that were required to take during that time is probably when things started. They really came to a head in mid 23. I started working with a holistic practitioner that at the time I trusted, and she had me introduce very high doses of B1. And this was so in 23. Backtrack a little bit. 2017, I had gastric sleeve surgery, and I followed everything. I did all the things I was supposed to do. For the most part, lost a bunch of weight. Changed my diet. I exercised. I lifted heavy weights. I ran. I did yoga. Like I did all the things. I lost all the weight I needed to. Was completely happy, doing well. Had some lingering symptoms, gut issues and things, and that's what I went to this nutritionist for. And essentially, like once I started with her, which was on a very high fat ketogenic diet and the megadosing, essentially B1, everything got worse, like exponentially worse. Gut issues, nerve pain, just everything.
So you're mentioning B1, so where was the B6?
So with the B1, from the research that I've done, when we offset any of our B vitamins, if we add in one B vitamin too much, then it can actually throw our other B vitamins off. And so I think because I'd already been compromised gut-wise, adding that huge dose that I was taking, and it was the synthetic form, not understanding at the time that there is a big difference. I feel like it's just everything came to a head essentially. And with the diet that I was on was extremely high in B6. Lots of salmon, lots of chicken, lots of beef, like extremely high. And I was taking what other supplements? Oh, multiple other supplements that I was taking had B6 added to them that I did not realize at the time. My melatonin, I believe I was taking a beef liver supplement, which is very high in B6. So like not knowing that I was dosing with multiple forms at the time. And then just, like I said, everything started coming to a head in that summer of 23. Things just got exponentially worse.
So you said you were running, you were doing yoga, you were losing weight, you were sort of feeling great, but then you felt something was off, so you reached out for help. So what were the first symptoms and you thought, I've really got to start looking at this?
So I had, like I said, I had gastric sleeve in 2017. What started this down this road was I started having much more intense, like gastric symptoms, heartburn, and then just random nerve pain. I had started having sciatic issues. I started having ulnar nerve issues, and then like looking over my life, like looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've had so many nerve issues here and there. Like, could this be, related? And it just, in looking over, hindsight, always 2020, um, the gastric issues are what really propelled me into like, okay, what do I need to do about this? And unfortunately, I ended up having gastric bypass in the beginning of 24 because, of course, go to a surgeon. What are they going to tell you to do? Have surgery. And well, we can fix this. You just need to have the gastric bypass. That's the only way that we can fix this issue. And fast forward, had that in February of 24. Still had same exact issues afterwards. So I did nothing to fix it. Had multiple times I ended up back in the hospital after that for that year. I can't count how many times.
So you were still taking all the supplements at this stage?
Nope.
No. So when
Nope.
did you stop taking the supplements?
In 23, end of 23, it got to where I had lost probably about 30, 40 pounds without trying because I couldn't eat. I got to where I was eating a piece of fish and some creamed soup twice a day and an egg for breakfast. And it was because I literally, like, everything would stop. I couldn't like swallow. My esophagus would clamp down. I couldn't get anything down. And so in throughout that time, the end of 23, beginning of 24, all of my supplements started going away because I couldn't swallow them. And so it was a very slow progression. But then, like once I had the surgery, I started, okay, I need to replace these vitamins because of the surgery, because of the bypass. And so I tried to start taking like the regular supplements that they say, which are ridiculous amounts. Some 1,000% of what is, yes, that's what they tell you to take after bariatric surgery. And I couldn't, like, all of my symptoms would flare. Everything would. It was horrific. So finally in October of 24 is when I came across a couple of B6 Facebook groups and was just like, oh my gosh, like everything I've had going on for the last like, year and a half or whatever is on here. Like, could this possibly be? So it was October of 24. I stopped all of the supplements that I was taking, which I was not supposed to do because of the bypass. And at the time I didn't know what else to do. I've been completely disabled all of 24. Didn't work. And so after that, like, I started having some improvements, but I also knew I wasn't getting like the things that I needed because I couldn't physically eat everything that I needed to eat either. So I did go through the whole recoil a few months in, and it's crazy making. Like, everything that we go through with this is just, it's crazy making.
Yeah.
And so it's been, what does that end up mean? A little over 18 months, so about 20, 21 months at this point.
So because you gave your supplements up and then you waited a time to get your B6 levels checked, your B6 had gone back to normal.
Yep.
I think a lot of people would end up having neuropathy without actually having the validation of a B6 toxicity blood test, because once you stop supplements, it does go back to normal pretty quickly in most cases.
Yep.
That makes it really hard for you, I should imagine. You've connected dots, but you don't have that proof.
Yep. It was essentially my gut. I'm also a nurse and I'm a health and wellness coach. So like, and I've been in grad school. I know how to do research. And so like that's what I did was I dug into the research and just started like this makes sense. This is what I'm gonna do. And really just step by step process, adding in like tracking my food, making sure, I'm getting enough of what I need, but not too much. Um, and it's only been the last 3 months or so that I've started actually adding back in the B vitamins that I need because of the surgery, and done it successfully without flaring symptoms. And I've had to be very, very strategic in doing so. Very minimal, literally microdosing, what I need to be taking in order to get to the point where like things have improved so much the last few months. My sleep has improved. At one point when not realizing, and I'm behavioral health is my background, and like not realizing it prior to the B6 toxicity and prior to those surgeries, I didn't sleep for 2 weeks. Couldn't figure out why. And finally, after I ended up suicidal and called my doctor, and I'm like, I don't know what to do here. And finally, like she was able to, we tried a few things, and I'm still fortunately on what I have to take for sleep. But like the number of things that I had to take for sleep is slowly dwindling. My sleep quality has improved so much the last few months, but it's a road, man. And I really feel like if being toxic for more than likely decades, it's going to take me more time. I've essentially done a lot more damage than somebody that may have, only been toxic for a short time.
So, what were your worst symptoms?
More than likely the gut issues, which I still have. That's what I have on my ear is actually a TINS unit, and it helps like regulate my vagus nerve because during any type of stress, whether it's watching, being on camera, talking to people, I'm a health coach. At one point, reading was too intense because we use so much of our vitamins and our minerals and everything while we're doing these things. Our nervous system uses them. My gut would shut down. And so, and I mean, when I say shut down, like my esophagus will actually do what's called a corkscrew esophagus, and it will move backwards. And it's extremely painful. Neuropathy all over. I have what my doctor called like stocking glove syndrome, is where my skin hurts. Like I have like, it's like a shawl of pain. Sciatic pain has been huge. But yeah, nerve issues. So essentially all of the sensory, motor, autonomic, all of them. I've got the trifecta.
Did you get any bladder issues as well?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Eyesight too?
Yes, my eyesight is still an issue at this point. I had perfect eyesight, and now it's just been like I've been reading a lot the last few days, and things start just getting blurry. And it's not consistent. So like I know it's not my eyes. Like I know it's not, my eyes have changed. I need, I'm getting older, I need glasses because it's not consistent. If it was consistent, I would know that it's that. So that's why I know like if I'm in a flare, those things get worse. It's gotten to be very predictable, honestly. I track all of my symptoms in a journal, and so I've been able to find patterns in so many places. Like if I do this, this is what happens. If I do too much, 2 days later, things start shutting down. My gut starts shutting down. I can't use the bathroom. Like there's just multiple, like, so it's very much modulating what capacity I have. I still can't exercise. I haven't exercised consistently for going on 3 years now. I can't even walk. Just last month when I went grocery shopping, because I live about an hour away from a big city, so like I go grocery shopping one time a month. That was too much to where that night when I ate dinner, I ended up throwing up because everything shut down and I didn't catch it in time to realize okay, I stressed my body too much and I needed to rest before I actually was able to eat.
Yeah, I'm finding as I go through the journey, the gut issues are interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of thinking, is there a big correlation there? Because I've just had 5 hernias diagnosed. So that's where my thing is it all connected? Is it just, yeah, I don't know. I'm still working that one out. So, so now you're doing a lot better. Um, is there anything you want to say to someone that's going through looking down rabbit holes, trying to work out where their symptoms are coming from?
Um, Advocate for yourself. That's gonna be your biggest. Like I said, I've still never had a formal diagnosis. Thankfully, I have a physician that goes down the rabbit holes with me and is willing to do all of my testing for me. Like I just went to get lab this morning. I can call him and say, hey, I need this lab done. I mean, I did the testing for small fiber polyneuropathy. Also, didn't come back positive. It's just I've followed, like I just knew. So sometimes you gotta, like you said earlier, you gotta just jump off the cliff. Listen to your body. Pay attention to your supplements. That's one of my biggest, like even as a nurse, like I was taught supplements are good. Take your vitamins, do all of these things. We were not like, even when I started looking into this, I'm like, it's a B vitamin. It's water soluble. We just urinate it out. Like what's the problem? Like, so it's just, science changes all the time. That's one of the biggest, even though it's never happened before, doesn't mean it can't happen to you.
Yeah. Um, from my studies, I've realized that back in the 80s, that's when they first came up with people getting B6 toxicity. And in the between the mid 1990s to 2000, the UK changed their rules about their supplements to the upper limit of B6 in the supplements to be 10 milligrams. So my question is, why did it take the rest of the world, and America's still at 100 milligrams?
Yep.
And why has it taken so long for action?
Well, I have my thoughts on that. In general, everything comes down to money. Because if supplement companies were to say, decrease the amounts or not add this or not add that, like they're gonna end up losing money. So it's just, yeah, I have a lot of thoughts when it comes to, especially because it's an industry. I mean, that's the point, is money. So yeah, it's not regulated the way a lot of people think that it is. It is not a regulated industry the way, say, big pharma is. I'm also not a huge advocate for. I'm an advocate for, do what is good for you, and pay attention, ask questions. That's my biggest. And if you are seeing someone, a physician, a nutritionist, someone that's not listening, find someone else. Find someone that will listen to you. And not just followed by the book. Not, well, it hasn't happened, I've never seen it before, is a good, or is something that you hear from a lot of physicians. Just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
We're lucky in Australia now. The TGA has a lot of information on their website, and so does Health Direct. So we're lucky now. But before, you wouldn't have found anything on it. Oh, so what do you think not that you're going shopping much anymore, but when you go shopping and you see all those vitamins there, how do you feel?
I cringe. I have a hard time, as a coach, recommending supplements to people, because of this. And what's been so interesting is in working with people in the capacity that I do, I've led other people, my clients, to B6 toxicity, and they've actually had confirmed cases that they've gotten lab confirmation that they have B6 toxicity, because I'm like, this sounds like, so it's just, there's so much out there. And I'm just much more cautious when it comes to my own health, especially my spouse's, and then even with my clients, I will, unless I can see a true deficiency due to symptoms, due to labs, due to multiple things, I generally don't recommend supplements to people, because it's just the blanket approach that we've taken for so many years is not effective and harmful.
There's so much to unpack with all of this. Did this affect your relationships with people?
What relationships? Yeah, I generally don't see many people anymore. Getting out of the house is such a chore a lot of times that for a long time I see my clients virtually, and that's as much interaction as I can have. I have to be very cautious of my capacity. I have a lot of time in between clients. I eat on a schedule, because I've also never gotten hunger signals back since I've had the nerve damage from the B6 toxicity. I'm really hopeful that happens someday. So like my life is very regimented at this point in order to create safety for my body, in order for it to heal. So I don't really have a lot of relationships outside of, I have my husband and my clients that I see. I don't go out a lot or do anything, because most of the time it's too much.
Do you think in standard blood work, they should be testing more B vitamins? Especially,
Absolutely.
yeah. Which ones would you
Absolutely.
recommend testing?
Obviously B6. B1 is a big one, and B12 and that what's interesting is my B12 had been sky high for a really long time. And now that I've made adjustments to my diet, I'm not supplementing with other things, my B12 has finally come down. My B9, which is folate, has always been low, and now it's finally coming into range. So and the way all B6s, they work together, or all B6s, all B vitamins, they all work together. So, which makes sense, because that's why they're B vitamins. But when you throw in like a mega dose of one, you then like rob your body of the others. And so the main ones, definitely B1, B6, and B12, because of the effect that they have on so many bodily processes.
Okay. So what do you want to tell people, especially healthcare practitioners that are listening to this, about B6 toxicity?
There's so much. It's so interesting that we've been taught in healthcare and just in general as the general public, that when we start having neuropathy, when we start having these symptoms, it's because of a deficiency. When in reality, it can be either or. So really paying attention to, like, if you're going to test when it comes to B vitamins, test all of them. Test them together, and that way you can see if certain ones are off and certain ones are too high, certain ones are too low. Then you can actually make adjustments where you need to, whether it be diet, decreasing or eliminating supplements, whatever it is. That's where like I said, I'm a nurse. I very much have paid attention to my labs. I also know that labs are a snapshot. Labs do not tell us everything. We do need to look at our symptoms also. But it can be super helpful, obviously, to have your labs done, and be tracking those. I track mine every few months, and that's where I've seen the correlation, not causation especially, but the correlation between, as my B6 has gone down and I've gotten it to like a mid-range, all of my other B vitamins have like leveled out back to a better range. So it's super interesting. My scientific brain likes having all of those numbers and being able to actually see, like, okay, I'm making a difference. It's not just because it's really hard. This type of healing takes such a long time. And I see my therapist, and she, when I get into those modes that like I feel like I haven't made any progress, she's like, but look where you were, 6 months ago or a year ago or 18 months ago. The fact that I can work, the fact that I can have a conversation like this and know that I can go downstairs and fix dinner and be okay. That's a huge, that's huge, huge win.
So why don't you think we are? Like, why aren't we testing bees more?
I don't know. I think our focus has been on other factors, in general, when it comes to health and wellness and all of the things. And more than likely because they are water soluble. Like, I think that's why the B vitamins, people are willing to just throw a ton of B vitamins, a 50 milligram B vitamin with 50 milligrams of everything at you, because, oh, it's water soluble. You'll just pee out the rest that you don't need. And like, now we know that's not true. And it's just, yeah, I think we need to be more consistent when it comes to testing, and not just, okay, if you're having this symptom, we test this one B vitamin. Like I said, I think it needs to be, if we're going to test one B, it needs to be all of them, because that gives you a more complete picture of what's going on in the body.
So how would you go and ask your GP or your primary care practitioner if you wanted all your bees checked?
Personally, what I do, and thankfully, like I said, I have an amazing, I don't know what I'm gonna do when he retires, because I don't even want to think about that. Because he will generally do almost anything that I ask him, as long as there's a reason behind it and it makes sense. He will do it. So I don't have the problem of having someone that's not willing to listen. But a lot of times what I do is I will take research with me. That's how I had fibromyalgia, and I used to be on heavy narcotics for a very long time, and I wanted off of them. And I took some research into him for a different type of medication that's very safe, low dose. And I was like, I want to try this. And now that's his standard of practice for when other people come in with fibromyalgia. And I was like, and I'm super proud of that, because it's not a narcotic. It's not something that people like have issues taking. It's something that can be super helpful with inflammation and other things. But that's how I approach anytime I go in. I usually will take something with me. I'll take some paperwork, I'll take some research that I've looked up, whatever, and be like, this is what I think is going on. Can we run these tests? Can we do this lab? Can we, whatever. A lot of times for doctors specifically, they need some type of validation, not just your symptoms. Even though in reality, our symptoms and what we say should, count and should be credible. Most of the time they need that. So really taking some information with you can be super helpful to convince them that, hey, let's look into this. Because a lot of times they just need a diagnosis code. They need something that they can bill the insurance and say, this makes sense, let's do these tests. So if you can give them that, a lot of times they will actually do what you ask.
So a lot of people in Australia, they'll be taking their B complex. After going through what I've gone through, and would you suggest they go and get a test straight away
Yes.
of their Bs. Yeah.
Yep. And keep
And,
taking it. Like, take it until you get the lab. Like, the other part is, like, we know that when you look at and look at everything. Look at all of your not just your supplements, but all of your drinks. I was not a huge energy drink fan. I did for a little while, long time ago. But like, the more I've dug into the B6 toxicity and the research, the more I realize I'm like, this is why this is coming to a head now. It's because we've had now 15 years or whatever of energy drinks that they just add all these. And then you look at the other supplements. You look at my melatonin used to have B6 in it, multiple milligrams. Don't know why. Supposedly it works better. A lot of times, pregnant women for nausea, they will give them B6 and another medication because it works really well. But again, we're not taking into account that, like, you can turn toxic so easily on such a small amount. It's just, yeah, there's just so much. There's so much.
and protein powders, electrolytes, protein waters, protein bars.
Yep. Yeah, I don't do any of that stuff.
Yep.
I use a protein powder, but I know exactly what's in it. It's like 2 ingredients. I make my own electrolyte powder because I know exactly what's in it, and I know I need the sodium and the potassium because of everything. I make my own, like, quote unquote Pedialyte type solution that I use at night and the morning. All of these things I've slowly added in and seen, like, big improvements, but I have complete control over what goes in them. I buy the raw ingredients, I make them, I know exactly how much I'm taking. I don't take anything that has B6 in it, and I'm very strategic with the supplements that I do take. Don't blanketly trust supplements, providers, or anybody. Honestly, like, do your own research. And I know that's a lot because I know when I tell people, like, everything that I do and that I've done to heal, they're like, I could never do that. I'm like, if you had to, trust me, you would. If you were where I was, you would do it. And don't get to where I was. Pay attention beforehand. Like, ask questions, do your research. There are ways that you can do it that's a lot less. We have Google, we have all of these things at our fingertips now. Don't just blanketly trust everyone that's telling you all of this information because they have a very limited view. They have their experience, and they're going to be advising you off of their experience and their education, which doesn't especially mean that they're taking into account everything that you've gone through and your body and your history and all of those things.
Yeah. And test while you're still taking the supplements, because if you
Yep.
wait, if you stop and take it 3 weeks later, your levels may go back into range, but the nerve damage is there.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story today. Anything else you can think of, anything else you'd like to share about what's going on? And
I don't think so.
and do you have kids? How have they cope with all of this?
No kids.
Okay. So any partners gone through okay with it?
It's been interesting. We've been together for almost 28 years. We'll be married for 25 in September. And we've been through a lot of health challenges throughout our marriage, and this has been something that has absolutely rocked our world. Because I was a travel nurse at one point. Like, I worked sometimes 4 12-hour shifts a week. Like, I was strong. I did all of these things to where I could barely, like, take a shower. I would take a shower and have to lay down for 30 minutes afterwards because it would exhaust me so much. So it's definitely shifted our relationship. He has a much more appreciation for everything that I do, even now. But yeah, it's something that you can't do on your own, this healing. If you're in a relationship with someone, like they have to be willing to help in some way, shape, or form. And whether that's just emotional help, support, like it's shifted our relationship in so many ways. And thankfully it's mostly been good. There hasn't really been like anything bad that's come of it, but it's a lot. It's gonna, this, especially if you get as sick as I was. And like I said, I was completely disabled for an entire year at 46. So, yeah.
So where do you see yourself now in 5 years?
Hoping and praying I will be able to do all the things that I used to do, be able to actually exercise again. I did yoga for a good 15 years, almost daily. And it's been so like heartbreaking not being able to move my body. Not just the physical, but mentally not being able to do the things that I know would take care of me mentally. So that's really like, I hope I'm able to run again. If not run, at least walk. Lift some weights, do some yoga. Be able to cook and clean my home without regretting it 2 days later. Be able to go out with my friends and have an evening out and not again regret it 2 days later. I think it'll happen. I just think it's going to take more time at this point. I know the improvement that I've had this last like 8 months has been huge. So if I can improve as much as I have, I know I can keep going.
Thank you for joining me again today. So I really want to recap. If you've been taking any sort of supplement, get your levels checked, especially B6, especially if you're having any peripheral neuropathy symptoms, get your levels checked and do it today if you can. Don't wait, because it's not done in standard blood tests and your doctor may not know to check it, unfortunately. And there's a lot of good support out there. There's the B6 Toxicity Support Group. If you find you need some support, good place to start.
Yep.
So once again, thank you for joining me. And hopefully in a year, if this podcast is still going, maybe you want to come back on and share your healing experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, well, thanks again. And I will chat to you later on the,
As this episode ends, here are a few important reminders. Vitamin B6 is essential, but both vitamin B6 deficiency and vitamin B6 toxicity can share similar symptoms. Blood testing, supplement history, and clinical assessment can help tell the difference. B6 toxicity affects the nervous system, so symptoms can vary widely from person to person. These may include tingling, numbness, balance problems, muscle weakness, electric shock sensations, twitching, blurred vision, bladder urgency, racing heart, gut issues, skin changes, sleep disturbance and mood changes. This is not an exhaustive list. In Australia, the TGA requires products containing 10 mg and above of vitamin B6 to carry a warning about peripheral neuropathy. The TGA has also advised healthcare professionals to review vitamin B6 intake, including supplements and fortified products, when investigating unexplained peripheral neuropathy symptoms. Health Direct Australia also recognises that peripheral neuropathy can be caused by excess vitamin B6. This podcast shares personal experiences and consumer awareness information only. It is not medical advice. If you are concerned about symptoms, supplements, medications, or your health, please speak with your doctor or qualified healthcare professional.
If these conversations or my story have resonated with you, my book, B6 Toxicity and Me, is available worldwide on Amazon. Thank you for joining us today.